There is a state in America that most people can barely find on a map. It's bigger than all 5 other New England states combined. It has more coastline than California. It produces 99% of one crop and 90% of another. It was the site of the very first battle of the American Revolution. And hidden somewhere in this video is a geography fact so strange that when I first read it, I genuinely checked 3 sources to make sure it was real. That fact is number 1. And I'm not telling you what it is until we get there. I'm statesXplained. These are 35 weird Maine facts, counting down to the most insane geography fact in America. Let's go. Number 35. Maine is the only U.S. state with a 1-syllable name. Every other state needs at least 2. Maine, just Maine. Most efficient state name in the country. And honestly, that tracks. Number 34. About 90% of Maine is covered in forest, making it the most forested state in America by percentage. If you drove across it in any direction, you'd be in trees for basically the entire journey. Number 33. Maine has over 6,000 lakes and ponds, and more than 32,000 miles of rivers and streams. That's enough river to go around the entire Earth. And that's just in one state. Number 32. Maine produces more maple syrup than any state outside Vermont and New York. And somehow nobody talks about it. Very on brand for Maine, honestly. Number 31. Maine has 65 lighthouses, more than almost any other state. And the very first lighthouse ever built by the U.S. federal government was in Maine. The Portland Head Light, completed in 1791. George Washington personally ordered its construction and appointed the first keeper himself. Number 30. There is a desert in Maine, the Desert of Maine in Freeport. 40 acres of exposed glacial silt left behind by the last ice age. It looks exactly like a desert, in the middle of the most forested state in America, I know. Number 29. Maine has more breweries per capita than any state in the country, including Vermont, which used to hold the title. 1 brewery for every 8,654 people. America's craft brewing capital is a state most people know mainly for lobster. Number 28. Maine's largest city, Portland, has a population of about 70,000 people. The biggest city in the entire state is smaller than most American suburbs. And yet Portland keeps getting named one of the best food cities in the country. The restaurant-to-resident ratio there is kind of absurd. Number 27. A 15-year-old from Farmington, Maine, invented earmuffs in 1873. Chester Greenwood was trying to figure out how to keep warm while ice skating, built a prototype with wire and beaver fur, patented the design a few years later, and ended up manufacturing 400,000 pairs a year from his Maine factory. December 21st is officially Chester Greenwood Day in Maine. You've probably worn his invention. Number 26. Maine was part of Massachusetts until 1820. It finally separated as part of the Missouri Compromise, a political deal to balance slave and free states in the Union. Maine had to literally wait for Missouri to be ready before it was allowed to become its own state. We're at 26. The fact I checked 3 times is still coming. Keep watching. Number 25. Maine produces 99% of all wild blueberries in the United States. Not most of them. 99%. Over 100 million pounds a year. The entire American wild blueberry market basically runs through one state. Blueberry pie, by the way, is the official state dessert. Number 24. Maine produces roughly 90% of the entire country's lobster supply, about 40 million pounds a year. If you've ever eaten lobster anywhere in the US, it almost certainly started in Maine. The industry generates over $1 billion a year and has been doing it for generations. Number 23. Maine was once the toothpick capital of the world. The town of Strong, Maine produced 7 billion toothpicks every single year at peak production. Over 90% of all American toothpicks. 7 billion. Operations closed in 2003, but for most of the 20th century, if you picked up a toothpick in the US, it almost certainly came from a small town in Maine. Number 22. Maine ships seed potatoes to Idaho. Idaho, the state literally famous for potatoes. Idaho's potato industry is partly dependent on seed stock from Maine's Aroostook County. The overlooked state is quietly supplying the famous one. Number 21. Maine ranked 7th in the entire United States for net domestic migration in 2025. Its population hit a record high of over 1.4 million, driven almost entirely by people choosing to move there from other states. More people are actively moving to Maine right now than to most of the country. Number 20. Maine has the oldest median age of any state in America, over 45, and the highest percentage of residents age 65 and over of any state in the country. So on one hand, it's aging faster than anywhere else. On the other hand, it's one of the fastest growing states by in-migration. Two completely opposite forces pulling at the same place at the same time. Number 19. Bath. Maine has been building warships for the U.S. Navy for over 200 years and is still doing it today. Bath Iron Works built 82 destroyers during World War II, more destroyers than the entire Japanese Navy produced in the same period. Today it builds the Aegis destroyers at the backbone of the U.S. fleet. The population of Bath, 8,000 people. Number 18. Maine was the first state in the U.S. to adopt ranked choice voting for federal elections, back in 2016, years before most states had even seriously started debating it. A reform still being argued over across the country was already law in Maine. Number 17. Maine produces gemstones. Tourmaline, amethyst, quartz, all mined commercially in Maine. Tourmaline is the official state mineral. Most people associate American gemstone mining with the West. Maine has been doing it quietly for centuries. Number 16. The first ocean-going English ship ever built anywhere in the Americas was built in Maine. In 1607, and the same year Jamestown was just getting started in Virginia, colonists on Maine's Kennebec River built a vessel called the Virginia and sailed it back across the Atlantic to England. 400 years of American shipbuilding started in a river in Maine. Top 15 now. I still haven't told you what number 1 is. It involves a comparison that will genuinely change how you see American geography. Stay with me. Number 15. Maine has lynx. Canada lynx, a wild predator, has a breeding population in northern Maine, making it one of the only places in the contiguous United States where this actually happens. Maine has a wildcat population that most Americans have absolutely no idea exists. Number 14. Maine's Moosehead Lake is the largest lake in New England, over 75,000 acres, bigger than some entire cities. And it's still almost entirely surrounded by wilderness. Number 13. Maine has the largest moose population of any state in the lower 48, around 75,000 moose. A bull moose stands 6 feet at the shoulder and can top 1,000 pounds. Maine is home to an army of the largest land animals in North America, and most people don't know it. Number 12. Mount Katahdin is the northern terminus of the Appalachian Trail. The entire 2,200-mile trail starts or ends right here in Maine. And Katahdin itself rises over 5,200 feet from the surrounding flat terrain, making it one of the most dramatic mountain rises east of the Rockies. Number 11. Acadia National Park was the first national park established east of the Mississippi River. Not Shenandoah, not Great Smoky Mountains. Maine's Acadia came first, 1919. It now gets over 3.5 million visitors a year and sits in the top 10 most visited national parks in the country. Most people couldn't tell you it was in Maine. Number 10. There are approximately 1,000 shipwrecks off the coast of Maine. Centuries of maritime traffic through some of the most treacherous coastal waters in North America have left a graveyard on the ocean floor. Maine doesn't just have a coastline, it has 400 years of maritime history buried beneath it. Number 9. The first naval battle of the American Revolutionary War didn't happen in Boston Harbor. It happened off the coast of Machias, Maine in 1775, when local patriots captured a British warship using homemade weapons and small fishing boats, in a place that wouldn't even officially become a state for another 45 years. Number 8. Maine has over 4,600 offshore islands. Of those, only 15 have year-round populations. 4,600 islands, 15 with people on them. The rest are just sitting out there, empty, off the most jagged coastline in America. Number 7. The Gulf of Maine is one of the fastest warming bodies of ocean water on Earth, heating up at 4 times the global average rate. What happens in Maine's ocean affects Atlantic fisheries from New England all the way down the mid-Atlantic coast. The most overlooked state is sitting on top of one of the most closely watched bodies of water in climate science. Number 6. Maine's coastline. When you trace every inlet, every island, every peninsula, stretches over 3,400 miles. That's longer than California's coastline. California is nearly 10 times the size of Maine. Maine has more coastline. Top 5. I have been holding back the best facts this whole video. Number 1 is 2 minutes away, and I promise you have never heard it before. Number 5. Maine's harbors are so deep and so numerous that it has been said, all the naval fleets of the world could anchor in them simultaneously. Every navy, every fleet. Maine's coast isn't just long, it's deep, protected, and engineered by nature for maritime power on a scale that's almost impossible to picture. Number 4. Maine is the only U.S. state that borders exactly one other state. Not 2, not 3. 1. New Hampshire, and that's it. In a country where every state except Hawaii and Alaska shares at least 2 land borders, Maine sits alone in the corner, connected to the rest of America by a single edge. Number 3. Maine is the first place in the United States to see the sunrise, every single day. At Cadillac Mountain in Acadia National Park between October and early March, you are standing on the first point of American soil touched by sunlight each morning. The entire country is still dark. Maine is already in daylight. Number 2. Maine is bigger than all 5 other New England states combined. Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. All of them, added together, are still smaller than Maine. Most Americans couldn't point to Maine on a map. The state they're ignoring is larger than the entire region they think they know. Number 1. The closest point in the United States to Africa is not Miami. It's not the Florida Keys. It's not Cape Hatteras in North Carolina. It is West Quoddy Head, a lighthouse on a rocky peninsula in Lubec, Maine. Maine is just 3,400 miles from Morocco. Florida is nearly 1,000 miles further from Africa than Maine is. The state tucked in the forgotten corner of America's map is the part of the United States closest to another continent. 35 facts, 1 state. And I haven't even touched the food scene, the immigration story, the political history, or the 1,000 shipwrecks sitting on the ocean floor. Maine is the state most Americans drive through on the way somewhere else. The one that gets half a chapter in the geography textbook and a lobster joke at dinner. The one most people couldn't find on a map. But it's also the most forested state in the country. The first to see the sunrise. The one that supplies 99% of the wild blueberries, 90% of the lobster, and the seed potatoes for Idaho. The one that built more destroyers in World War II than Japan. The most underrated state doesn't have to be remote or obscure. It just has to be ignored. And Maine has been ignored for a very long time. If you're from Maine, tell me in the comments what I missed. There's more, and I know it. And if you're not, which fact surprised you most? Which one did you think was made up right until the end? I'm covering all 50 states on this channel, starting with the ones nobody talks about. Subscribe so you don't miss your state. Next up, Illinois. And I'm warning you now, it is stranger than you think.